Okay, now we are going to talk a little bit about yeah. So we already talked about the cost of operating labor, how we find them. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the other costs that we have that comes with the process. So cost of raw material, utilities, and waste treatment. So raw material so is really related to the flow rate or production rate. We use a PFT process flow diagram to calculate that. We know how much raw material we need and how much product we have, raw material and product, right? So we can use PFT. Those information are available in PFT process flow diagram, and we use the steering factors to calculate that. So the other costs, let's say utility and waste treatment, there are tables that can provide us with this kind of costs. Each of them, they are a factor of the production. And also there are different tables that we can use, like common chemicals. Okay, so it's also like some raw material, the price of raw material that we need to buy. So there are tables that we can use and find them. Let's have a look at table 6.3. So here you can see that, for example, each of the raw material, how much it costs, right? Let's say the fuels that we need, the electrical things, refrigeration. Okay, this is mainly for utility actually. Okay, not for raw material. For raw material, as I said, we use PFT. This is mainly for utility. The utility that you have, how much does it cost? For example, for air supply, steam that you need, you have like all the values per 100 standard cubic meter. STD is a standard cubic meter. The fuels, how much does it cost? Nowadays the natural gas, the petrol, they lost their price. There is a big drop in their price. So we like those numbers have to be it has to be kind of adjusted, and it will be actually. So like we have all this information, okay, then we can find the cost of utility by using this information that we have, refrigeration and so on. Okay, so this is also continuing table is the other part of table 6.3, thermal system, waste. Okay, for the waste treatment or wastewater treatment, we have also some factors here. Okay, if it's hazard, non-hazard, if it's the way that we use is filtering, or chemical processing, any other. So there is some expenses for waste treatment, cost of waste treatment. Okay, and also we have another table here which is related to that give us the cost of common chemical. Okay, like as I said, the raw material, cost of raw material. Some common chemicals, like very popular or common chemicals that has been used in many factories, in many manufacturing sites. Cost of raw material. So is all like acetic acid, acetone. How much they uh, they cost, okay, per each kilogram or per each liter cubic meter, depending to their physical phase. And also it shows here, like we have an additional column shows typical shipping. Okay, like how they are shipped. Okay, for the For the shipping, okay, for the stream or factor, as I said, we use also a stream factor to kind of calculate the cost of raw material. Okay, let's say how we calculate this stream factors is the operating hours per year divided by uh, total hours that we have per year. All right, so let's say totally how many hours we have per year. We have per year we have I think I have done the calculation here. We have, let's say, 365 times 24. Okay, so totally in year, total hour in year, how many hours we have in a year? We have 365 days. Okay, in a year we have 365 days times 24. It will give us 8. Okay, just give me 1 second because I need to double check this calculation. 365 times 24. Yeah, so if you calculate the total hour that we have in a year is 8,760. All right, this is the total hour that we have a year. So for finding the stream factor, we need to divide the operating hours of our factory by the total hours that we have in a year. Okay, so that is gives you about 0.90. So a stream factor, they are usually typically between 0.9 to 95. A typical value 0.92 is kind of is more used. So this is my planned operating hour in the year. Okay, so because sometimes I have emergency shutdowns, sometimes I have maintenance, like this is all the days that we consider that, okay, although we have all this working hour, but sometimes, as I said, we have shutdown, we have emergency shutdown, we have maintenance that we have to stop the plant. So that's why the operating hours is usually different or smaller than the total hour that we have in a year. Why this factor is important? Let's say for the raw material, I tell you that I need I don't know, let's say I need 10 I need 10 kilogram of 10 kilogram of acetic acid per second. Okay, I need I need 10 kilogram per second of acetic acid in my plant. 10 kilogram per second. How much acetic acid I need in a year? So I will use this factor. I will convert second to let's say year, and then I will use this factor to find the total amount of acetic acid that I need per a year based on operating hour. So once I convert this to year, I multiply that by, let's say, I will convert it to the year by the factors that I know. Each minute is 60 seconds. Each hour is 60 minutes. We know that each day is 24 hours, and each year is 365 days. It's like that. We will calculate the amount of acetic acid that we need per hour, and then we multiply this by this factor to convert it to the acetic acid that we need based on the operating hour, based on the operating hours that we have. Or it's not necessarily all the time. The based on kilogram, or sometimes per kilomole. Sometimes we don't need per year, we need it per hour, per operating hour. Just need to multiply by this factor, convert second to hour, and multiply by this factor here. Okay, so as a summary here, what it has done, okay, to calculate the cost of, as a summary of this part, we have almost, I think, 20 slides to finish this. So as a as a factor that we have cost of manufacturing without depreciation. So for calculating cost of manufacturing, we need fixed capital investment, operating labor, utility, waste treatment, and raw material that we already talked about all of them, how to calculate each of them. Part 3 is economic factors that influence the chemical processes. So in this part we are going to talk a little bit about profits, the things that might happen. I mean, like something about marketing, how much return we will get from the investment, and different value. Different kind of. We have to, let's say, we have to know what's the market of our product, the flexibility of the market. Okay, how big is the market? Those are the things that we need to investigate. We need to know, like, if my product has this market or not, right? So those are the things that we are going to talk a little bit here in this part of the presentation. So economic factors, project flexibility. Okay, so like we have to check the project flexibility. Okay, and when we are doing the investment, we need to know what is the project flexibility. I'm gonna talk about these things a little bit in more details. Okay, so how we evaluate the project flexibility? Okay, how we can use, there are usually like 3 types of flexibility study or flexibility evaluation. One of them is the market flexibility. We need to know how much is the flexibility of the market, how the market can change. It can be grow, or it can just shrink. Okay, how feasible is the project for the estimated cost? Okay, so for the estimated cost, we need to do this kind of calculation. So we need to compare 2 parameters. ROR should be bigger than MARR. I will tell you what is this thing. You don't need to go through the details of them, just some information for you. ROR is rate of return. How much return we have. And MARR is a minimum acceptable rate of return. Minimum acceptable rate of return. Okay, rate of return should be, we have to, when we are evaluating the flexibility of project, we have to make sure that rate of return will be bigger than minimum acceptable rate of return. Okay, and also we have to make sure that project is technically feasible for the best economic alternative. So if in case the product that we are producing is not popular anymore, we have to be flexible. Technically, we have to be flexible to be able to do some smart change in the project, in the plant, and produce some alternative product that is popular in the current market. Market flexibility, feasibility, or evaluating the market feasibility. Okay, what does it mean, market feasibility? Okay, we have to evaluate, we have to study these items, the following items. What are these items? Study the economic factor and indicators. Okay, so we have to know what's the stock market now, that these days is, unfortunately, because of this virus issues, the economies are not really doing well. We have a big loss in many economical sectors, banks, manufacturing companies, and so on. So the factors, indicators, the stock markets, and some other indicators that are available those who are expert in this kind of evaluation. They can provide you with a lot of information. Demand estimation, how much your product is demanded by the people, by the public, by the economy. If you are producing fuel, how much is needed now? If you are producing a chemical, how much is needed? The supply estimation, how much you can supply. Okay, how much is the maximum capacity, your production capacity. Okay, identification of critical success factors. Okay, so you need to know what will be the critical success factors that you have in your investment, and then how far you are from those factors. And also demand supply gap. Okay, how much is demanded, how much you can supply. Okay, so the difference between these two gives you some idea about the market feasibility. Okay, so economic indicators, as I said, stock markets change. Okay, like there might be a change in the demand because of some people. Let's say if people they have more money, they buy more cars, right? They buy bigger cars, they buy better cars. If they don't have money, their salary is not good, so they cannot afford good cars, right? So those are all the economic factors. The average, let's say, salary of the people in that country, the average I don't know, income of the people, the how they are, like how is the stock market in that country. Those are the things that is needed uh, to be evaluated. Demand estimation is very important step in market feasibility study. And what is demand estimation? Demand is, what's the demand for your product? Who is the end user of your product? How much money he make? Okay, when you are producing, let's say, I don't know, like a Toyota car, who is your user, what are their average salary, and when you are producing a Bugatti, who are your end user, and how much money they make, right? So this is something that we need to, we need to really evaluate. If you are producing a simple product, let's say a I don't know, like a small supplementary drug, or I don't know, like a cosmetic products, like who are the end users, right? So you need to know how much money they make, if they can afford your product or not. A study of influencing factors, which type of factor will change the demand. Okay, if people they lose their job, they cannot buy cars, right? So regional, national, and export market potential, how much your product is popular in the region, locally, in the nation-wise, or how much is the potential to export it internationally. Infrastructure facilities, facilitating or continuing. Okay, so like if let's say your demand has changed, are you able to to if this demand continue to be like this or not? Okay, this is really the kind of can be mentioned here. If your demand is increasing or decreasing, forecasting. Okay, forecasting, predicting your demand. And also if the demand will continue or will stop somewhere, right? This is also important. Then you see, like this side are mainly definitions, they are not really complicated. Okay, so okay, supply estimation. Okay, so supply estimation. What's your supply capacity that you can provide? Okay, so this information can be found from the past operations, some past information that you have, and also projection for the future. How you make sure that your supply will be kind of, you will have a steady state supply. Your supply will be kind of stable, it doesn't change. Financial feasibility is mainly because, most of the time when we are building fabricating a plant, we when we are fabricating a plant, we really don't when we are fabricating a plant, we need to do some finance. We need to sometimes we need to borrow money from the banks. We need to have some financing, right? So we need to know how much money we need to borrow. Okay, the taxes that need to be kind of considered. Okay, uh, the project. Okay, so like how much money we need. Okay, so the price, the demand. Okay, and the price that I mean, how much is your demand and how much is the price of your product. It can kind of helps you to know how much money you can make, okay, from that project each year. How much will be your return, how much will be your sorry how much will be your return, how much will be your income. So you will know how much money you have and how much, based on your income, how much repayment you can have. If you have a loan, like this is the maximum that you can pay per year to pay off your loan, for example. The project cost, the investment cost that you have, especially at the beginning and for the operation. So you can also define them when you are asking for a loan. You have to kind of provide these estimations. You have to tell to the bank or to the financial institute that you need this much money to run the project, and this is the reason. And those are the list of the costs that you have. And also, the taxes, you have to include all the taxes that you have, the financial costs. Let's say if you get a loan, you need to pay the interest rates are different from bank to bank, from year to year. So those are the things that you need to know. And the high cost of environmental compliance or agreement. If you are nowadays, the governments, like in Canada, they charge companies for tax for carbon. They are carbon tax based on how much CO2 you are producing in your company. You have to pay some tax to the government. So this kind of environmental agreement or compliance can also have a big effect on your cost and financing. Okay, critical success factors that we show it with CSF, okay, is also important factor for for your is important factors for the success of your project. You need to identify them. You need to study the risks that you have to make sure that you already far from you already have all this success factor. For example, the choice of location. Okay, like the location of the project, where the project is located, is really can affect these factors. Okay, if it's a stable region, if it's a war zone, I don't know, if it's a country that is not doing well in the economy in general, if the neighbors are not stable, so those can affect. Okay, then the location can also define the availability of the raw material supply. Okay, so if you are, let's say in this region we have access to energy, right? The energy supply is not expensive. We easily can transport energy to neighbor countries, either with pipelines, right? So we have, depending to the location, your raw material supply cost, power cost, transportation, even the skilled manpower, they can also change. Okay, so if your project is far from city and is in the very area far from development, so you have to pay more to your workers or to your laborers, engineers, to come there and work for you.